Do you want to decrease your inventory costs and increase your profit margins? How about decreasing waste and improving the quality of your products? Lean manufacturing is the key to achieving all those things. And Paul Akers, well, he's the expert in all things lean. In this interview, Paul Akers shares principles, concepts, and routines for a lean business culture and lifestyle, and it will change your life. An author, innovator, TEDx talker, international speaker, award-winning business owner, the list goes on and on for Paul Akers, and his life and business is lean. Yours can be too, so stay tuned for this amazing episode.
It's 50,000 square feet and it cost us $2.2 million to build it. It would cost anybody else $5 million to build this, but because we applied lean thinking to the way we did it for a fraction of the cost.
The bank president, he comes in and says, Paul, I've never seen a business so well run in my entire life. Particularly in light of the fact that I just won Business of the Year. I was making a ton of money and things were rocking and everybody wanted to work for me. Everything was going right. That's why 3S'ing is the most important activity anyone will ever do to learn lean manufacturing and become a lean thinker. Lean thinkers can see waste and systematically eliminate it in every process, in everything they do every day.
My favorite improvement of the year has got to be this pneumatic magnet dispenser that Lucas made.
And look how fast this is. Eliminating a bunch of motion. That's lean manufacturing. That's lean thinking. So first of all, this is FastCap. Welcome to FastCap. And the interesting thing about this company is there's no walls. So this is the office and there is the shipping and receiving and manufacturing, everything, which is very unusual. I don't know of a company in the world that is like that. So we deliberately did that because we want to connect everybody together. We want to connect all the work together. So they process an invoice and boom, it goes right to the shipping department right there. They don't have to walk through a door or tap on a glass or anything like that. Everybody's in direct communication, so it's very unusual. The next thing you'll notice is it's a beautiful building, very open, tons of windows, 140 windows here, which lets lots of natural light in, so it's a really pleasant place to work. The floors are immaculate, it's all polished concrete. We don't have any custom floor coverings anywhere. Everything's just very simple, very lean. And this building is a miracle, to be honest with you, because it's 50,000 square feet and it cost us $2.2 million to build it. It would have cost anybody else $5 million to build this, but because we applied lean thinking to the way we did it for a fraction of the cost. And most people can't even get their head around a building this size, building for that much money.
Tell us about what lean manufacturing is. What are the basic principles?
The most basic one is the ability for these two eyeballs to be able to see waste. If you can identify all the things that are going on in your life, both at home and at work, that are not changing anything, that aren't adding any value, and then you do something about it by eliminating that, that's lean. So I'll give you another example. When you make this coffee, we'll take this coffee right here, okay? So the Woods had to make this coffee. And the first thing they had to do was get a cup. So they had to walk 2 steps and grab a cup. Then they put the cup underneath there. Then they took the puck thing out and then they slammed it down and got all the coffee out of it. And then they had to walk over 1 step and wash it out maybe and then walk back. Well, guess what? No coffee has been made yet. That's waste. That's non-value added activity. It isn't until that they push that button and the coffee's actually coming out that value is being added. It's only at that moment. Only for the 30 seconds or 15 seconds that coffee came out was value being added. The rest of it was all waste.
So the main principle is
to get to the value. To get to the value added activity and to be able to identify all the things that are really not changing anything. You're not paying for someone to walk and take 1 step or 2 steps to get a cup, to get a lid. You're not paying for that. That's not what you came there for. You came there to drink coffee, to nourish your body with coffee, to get a caffeine buzz. You know, this whole idea, the Japanese word is called muda, M-U-D-A. Muda means waste. It's this little tiny word with 4 letters, and it is so powerful. But most people in their lifetime will never understand it. That's lean manufacturing. That's lean thinking. Now, in the front of all of our inventory racks are build cells. We have about 700 products, and there's about 50 build cells where we actually build the products. And we've done it really in just a 4x8 section that's very flexible. We can change it for whatever product we need to build. We have little stations set up with jigs, and it just really works well. We have the inventory down below. We build the product up above. Just a great system, allows for a lot of flexibility. Now we have an automatic shrink wrapper, which allows our people to build pallet loads because we ship a couple semis a day. And what happens is they just drive that onto there, push a button on the forklift, and then it automatically starts to spin and wrap. Now the operator can go away, do something else. When it's done, it automatically cuts itself. And then the operator comes back and retrieves the pallet, puts the label on it, and it's off into the truck. It's a very efficient system, and it, again, relieves the burden off our people, because we don't want our people to work hard, we want them to work smart. The bank comes in a week before the Japanese come into my company. The bank president, he comes in and says, Paul, I've never seen a business so well run in my entire life. The best run company I've ever seen, best well organized, managed, and everything. Because I'm OCD. Everything looks perfect. And he said he was willing to give me any amount of money I wanted. Now you don't give money to small startup companies. I don't have an MBA, so they don't really like to give money to people like me. But he said any amount of money you wanted, because this place was so dialed in. A week later, the Japanese walked into my plant, and they delivered the message, you're clueless. You don't know what you're doing. I asked him, can you help me? He said, well, I don't know. You're clueless. You don't know how to manufacture. So the bank sees what I'm doing and says it's unbelievable.
Right.
But the Japanese, who can see waste and understand value versus non-value,
say you're out of your mind.
I don't know what I'm doing. And so,
what an interesting contrast.
Yeah, very interesting contrast, particularly in light of the fact that I just won Business of the Year, right?
That was the same year.
I was making a ton of money, right? And things were rocking, and everybody wanted to work for me. I had this young, hip crew. Everybody wanted to work for me. Everything was going right. Right? I had a couple inventory problems. That's why I hired the Japanese. They had to manage a couple inventory problems. So then they came in 1 week, they took processes that were taking me 45 minutes on those machines right over there. 45 minutes to 5 minutes. So every time we did an operation, it took us 45 minutes. And they, in 1 week, through small little improvements, got it to 5 minutes. And at that point, I said, I don't know what I'm doing. So I started listening. I actually got on a plane and immediately went to Japan, to Lexus and Toyota, to see what they were doing. And then when I saw the contrast of what Lexus and Toyota was doing compared to all the other American manufacturers, I go, oh my gosh, I'm not even on the right planet. I don't even have a clue. And that's when I became crazy about lean. But all these cells are all the different products that we make. So as we get an order, so these are called Kanban cards. So if there's a Kanban, someone grabs a Kanban card, goes into a production cell, and then builds the product. And that's what all these cells are. They're all work cells right here. These are where all the different Kanbans. The whole company's run on a paper card, just like this. So they would bring their Kanban and they would drop it into here, and then they would start building the product right here. So everything's set up in nice manufacturing cells so they can work really, really effectively and efficiently. So it's really, everything we do here is very simple.
Yeah.
But most people don't realize the importance of great processes.
I see all these red lights on every aisle.
Yeah.
What are they all
That's
about?
because we have this massive forklift, which is down there being charged, which is called a turret forklift, that the man goes way up in the unit, and we don't want anybody down that aisle when that forklift's in there because it's massive. So the red light goes on and it tells everybody visually, don't go
Stay
down
away.
that aisle. Exactly.
Yeah, you've got quite a bit of merchandise going all the way to that.
Yeah. And we move through a lot of it. We ship 2 or 3 containers sometimes every day. Could you imagine that? I mean, that's a lot of stuff getting out of here.
I'm trying to quantify it either in dollars or in...
Between $100,000 and $200,000 a day.
Wow. What tools can be implemented to have lean manufacturing?
Good. There's just a few simple tools, and here they are. The most important one is something called 3Sing. It means to sweep, to clean everything. So the first thing you do when you start your work, the first thing they do when they walk into their studio, the first thing you do when you sit down in your office is you don't open up your phone and look at your email. You don't turn on your computer.
Right.
You look at your office and say, what can be cleaned here? And you start to clean. You clean the dust, you clean the windowsill. You realize the cables are all bunched up in the back of your computer. And you sweep, that means to clean. You sort, you take all the papers that are on your desk. Like if you go down to my desk right now, you'll see there's hardly anything on it, right? And I'm a busy guy, but there's nothing on it because I've sorted. I've taken all the crap that's piled up on most people's desks and work area, and I got rid of it. So you sweep, you sort, get rid of the things you don't need, and you standardize. You create standards on how you do work. We tell people to do that for 10, 15 minutes a day, max, no longer than that. We do it for a half hour here. The reason why you 3S is to find problems. So it isn't to keep a neat, clean place. Look how clean this place is. It's incredible, right? It's a factory.
Yeah, it's
so you can
very...
eat off the floor. We don't do it for that reason. We do it to find problems.
Interesting.
Because when we clean, we go, oh, why is that dirt accumulating there? Where is that dirt coming from? That dirt's coming from the seal in the door that's faulty. So then we go and fix the seal in the door, and then we don't have the dirt there anymore. So we saw the problem, and then we created a standard that alleviated the problem. We call it a countermeasure. That's why you 3S. That's why 3Sing is the most important activity anyone will ever do to learn lean manufacturing and become a lean thinker.
So what you're watching is a process that was taking us 3 days to make all these custom parts for a customer. So I went down to the shop because I love being in the shop and came up with some ideas on how to eliminate waste and motion and transportation. And we have to drill these little aluminum parts. We have to drill them twice. So number one, as I was noticing, I was reaching up to this handle all the time and taking my hands away from the work, and then it was having more setup time. So I said, how can I change that? So I simply took a bungee cord and then put a bungee cord to act as a spring, and then put a piece of webbing on there, and I hit it with my hands, and away you go. And then as we were doing the improvement with our team, somebody noticed, hey, if we make the stop on the outside parameters of both sides, we don't even have to pick the part up and flip it around. So you can see, I drill one side, push it over to the other side. Then we have an air nozzle on there blowing all the debris away, which we learned from Walters and Wolf, which was really cool. We took a process that was taking us even as long as 3 days to make these parts. And now we cut them and drill them in 8 hours. Gigantic improvement.
I show up in the morning, my first task is to make an improvement, help other people make improvements, and make sure that we're cleaning and looking for things that are out of place. So I spend half an hour doing that. I go to the morning meeting. After the morning meeting, first thing I jump into is making sure everybody's trained on what they're doing. So I'll flit around for the first hour from person to person, just watching them, making sure they got all the processes down, making sure they remember everything, making sure they're doing it right, answering any questions. Once I'm sure everybody's got everything going, then I'll jump into it and I'll start working on stuff and finding improvements, coming up with improvements, jumping out to check on people again. And then I do a lot of running around, figuring out where everybody should be at certain times, kind of balancing the workload around the facility. So I talk with Alicia, the production leader, and Lauren, the shipping leader, and kind of judge their burden, where they're at, and move people around between them a little bit.
And that's your day.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Big circle of all that, and it's fun. I get to make a lot of things, build a lot of jigs, help a lot of people learn to run a lot of tools and make a lot of things. And we kind of call it the School of Fast Cap, and I really like how much I get to teach everybody all day.
Nice. Yeah, there's always change, man. It's cool to see that.
Yeah.
What do you call people that are just overly obsessive about little details?
OCD.
OCD.
Yeah.
But this is a different.
Oh,
this is a different principle concept.
Well, Paul, whoa! I don't think I've ever had anybody ever in my life ever interview me and get what you just said. Ever. People think because they're OCD, they're lean.
Right. Well, that's
And
my
you
point. We're going against the
immediately.
conventional thinking here.
Nobody's ever said that. Congratulations, man. Good job. It is not being OCD. And everybody thinks, oh, I'm OCD. I'm already super organized. I'm already lean. You haven't got a freaking clue.
About, what's
Because
going on?
I'm the most OCD person in the world. And when the Japanese came into my company, this company, they said, you're clueless. I was the neatest, cleanest guy you've ever seen. Everything had to be put away. And he said, you're clueless.
Interesting.
Because OCD is not lean. Being organized is not lean. Lean thinkers can see waste and systematically eliminate it in every process, in everything they do every day. But then there's one step further. The real great lean thinkers and the lean leaders get everyone to do it. Mm-hmm. Total participation.
That's
a
a whole nother
company
challenge.
and an organism where everyone is working together towards the same target of eliminating waste out of every process they do.
I can now live more peacefully thinking
Yeah.
that OCD has nothing to do
It
with...
has nothing to do with it. And that's a funny thing, because that's what lean does. It does make you peaceful because you're not struggling with things. You're enjoying the fact that you're effortlessly going through the day. And the minute it's not effortless, you stop and you fix it.
So what top 3 problems can a lean culture solve for business owners?
Well, the biggest one is hair on fire. Your hair's not on fire. I mean, most business owners walk in and they're just the master firefighter. They're just walking around putting out fires. I'm the savior. I'm the smart one. Oh, where's the next problem? Let me solve it.
You don't have that with lean.
I don't have that. You don't have that with lean. Everybody's solving problems. So the fires are like little tiny. Oh, let's tweak that instead of these big problems and chaos that's going on all the time. So the number one thing is hair on fire, right? Maybe number 2 is happy employees. People that want to work, people that want to stay, people that want to invest their life in an organization that is functioning at a high level. So just those 2 things right there. Do I need to say any more?
No.
I mean,
And these dogs here are
dogs.
just...
Everyone can bring their dogs.
Everyone's just an incredible little
dogs are adorable.
addition to this
And
business.
they're everywhere.
What do you think about lean?
It's a family, and we want people to feel good about work.
That's
And we don't mind if they stop and pet the dogs and everything, because if they're happy and they feel good at work, they're gonna work.
Absolutely.
If you ask anyone here at FastCap, I was the quietest and the shyest kid here.
Huh, you're the second person that say that.
Did
Yeah.
not talk to anybody. Now I'm talking to sales reps. I'm talking on the phone with other people. I'm talking to customers. I'm talking to all different types of drivers that come in here. Deliver, who receive, everyone. Just it's wonderful. Customer could walk in through here, and I know, okay, I could take him there. I could show him this. I could show him that. And my communication skill has gotten a whole lot better.
That's cool.
And I think one of the biggest things that helped that is the morning meeting. We do a morning meeting every day, and everyone takes turns doing it. So every about month and a half or so.
No option. Got to do it. Your turn.
Well, it's fun.
Right.
It's fun. It's part of the lean culture. So I love doing it. It brings me out of I'm not in a comfortable zone. Like, it's really uncomfortable for me. I hate it, standing there. But I love it at the same time because it pushes me to be a better person, to focus on things that I'm not good at. And lately, I've noticed it from when I first did it to now, it's improved a lot. But there's still tons and tons of room for improvement.
That's great.
Over here, all the paper for every day of the orders is color coded, Monday, Tuesday. So today's Monday. All the orders were put on pink paper today. Now, the entire company is managed through this one little board here that's made out of OSB and painted with brown paint. So if you look up here, you can see the burden of the company. Is there any burden on this company right now? There's nothing. Everything shipped. Everything ships 2 hours fax a truck from the time we get the order to the time we make it, package it, and ship it, 2 hours. So at the end of every day, we go home completely finished.
You can sleep at night.
And we sleep at night. And so the next
Wow.
day, everything's going to be printed on this color. And if this whole board is filled with tons of colors, we know there's a burden on the company. So we can allocate the resources, get more people over to the shipping department to ship. So wherever the burden is, that's where everyone moves. Very flexible environment. And it's based on all these simple visual controls. So look at these visual controls. This is incredible.
Clipboards.
So these are clipboards for next day air, second day air, UPS, FedEx, all the different ones. So a customer calls and says, I need something next day air. Well, we're not just going to put it in the queue, we're going to put it on a clipboard, right? Because it needs to get special care. Because
Right.
if we miss that, then they don't get their job done, right? So at 4 o'clock, before the cutoff for next day air, if all the clipboards are not back in here, what does that tell us? Oh, something didn't get done. Go find that clipboard, get that job done. But as soon as all those are back in,
Voila.
we know everything got shipped. So this is hair on fire. No one's hair is on fire, right? Because we have a process to make sure there's nobody running around like, oh crap, we didn't get it out.
I don't see how businesses operate
Any other way.
any other way.
I know that's
Yet they
what
still make it work
That's why I
somehow.
laugh that people don't get this. When people don't get this, it's just like, what? You don't get this?
Yeah.
It's so simple, it's unbelievable. And all these ideas came from our people just making these improvements all the time.
My favorite improvement was this jig that will sort your waste and your actual product when you're cutting custom caps.
So all the waste is just falling down there and the real product is coming out right here. That is very cool, Maylin.
My favorite improvement of the year has got to be this pneumatic magnet dispenser that Lucas made. And so before, we had one like this where you have to manually just pull it every time. It's slow, it's a lot of movement.
And the magnets are inserted.
The magnets are inserted. Now we have this pneumatic device, which down here we have our pedal with our Pokioka sign on it.
And what's the Pokioke sign do?
Makes us remember that we have something down there.
So
that we
nothing
can
gets
remember.
run over it.
So nothing can
Yeah.
run over
So it's
it.
in with the Kanban. So when you put the Kanban back with the finished product, the Pokioke says, hey, don't forget the foot pedal.
Yeah, and put it back.
Well, that's a great improvement right there.
Mag strips here, and this nice little holder that attaches under the table.
Look at that. Look how clever that is. Okay,
Pulls
so that
right
just
out.
plugs in. So
Goes right
it's a
back to the
quick
hole.
change build station. So as you need to build it, you go.
And then we load it up, all our mag strips. When we're ready to go, just place it in here, hit the foot pedal, and it magnetizes right to the front.
And keep going. Keep building them. Keep
And so
building them.
when we keep building them,
So this tells you how many you have to build to the red. And look how fast this is. Eliminating a bunch of motion, right? Wow, and look at this. It's all stacking up right here. Very cool.
there's 6 right there.
Not bad, Lucas.
Thanks.
How did you first discover the idea of being lean, and what prompted you to incorporate it into your own business? In a nutshell.
Well, it's a great story how I first discovered the concept, although I didn't get it. I was in San Diego, and this was about 3 years before the Japanese came to my company. And a friend of mine said, you got to come see this business. It's incredible. And so I went and saw this business, and it was a cabinet making company with about maybe 20 employees. And when I went in there, there was no activity. They weren't building any cabinets. And there was no inventory. There was no lumber racks. There was nothing. And I'm going, what the heck is going on here? And I'm a cabinet maker. I'm going, this is the craziest thing I've ever seen in my life.
Somebody's trying to fool you.
Yeah, somebody's trying to fool me. And I said, what's going on? He goes, well, we have a slow day today. So I don't have anybody building cabinets. They're all doing maintenance. They're all doing 3S'ing on all the equipment. So nobody was making any cabinets, but everyone was going around polishing, cleaning, making everything perfect, oiling the machines, doing all that stuff. And there was no stress. And I walked out and I said, that is the stupidest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. Because I'm used to inventory, all activity, people building stuff, loading trucks, getting everything up.
So at that time, you didn't get the lesson.
Oh, I didn't get the lesson at all. No, I walked out and thought he was the stupidest guy in the whole world. It was unbelievable. Because what he realized is there was no demand. The customer was not asking for anything, so why should you make something? Because if you make something, then you got to store it. Then you got to build an inventory rack. Then you got to manage it. You got to count the inventory. And then if you ding it with a forklift, then you got to rebuild it. So he
Right.
understood waste. So he only turned his machines on when there was a demand from the customer. But it was all so foreign to me, I didn't get it at all. And it wasn't 3 years later, it wasn't until 3 years later that the Japanese came in and started explaining to me the concept of just in time, only making what the customer wants when the customer wants it, that the light came on. I go, that's that company I saw in San Diego that I thought was crazy. And I'm the crazy one, and he's the smart one. So this is the fast pipe area. This is where we make, this is called a fast pipe cart. So we make everything. We make the workbenches, we make everything. But then people see this and they all want it, so they want to buy it. So this is where we process the orders for fast pipe. So check this out. So there's no orders for fast pipe right now. Why do we know that? Because of this right here. See this thing? When the order gets there, look at the light goes on. So if the office brings back an order and puts it on the clipboard, I'll do it like this just to show you. Boom, the light lights up, and Saeed, who's over in a whole other department, can see, oh, there's an order, and he'll come over and he'll build it just in time. But we don't build anything unless there's demand. And now look at, now this is another important principle. This is called respect for people. So I could have used that piece of paper and I could have said, oh, I'll just put it back in there and they'll figure it out.
Right.
No.
It's got to go back where
I
it
need
came
to make
from.
sure I put it back exactly in the right place, lean office desk, in exactly the right direction, because that's called respect for people. Just because I'm the boss, it doesn't give me right to come in and destroy someone's work area.
Right.
Right? And this is the way everyone operates here. Everyone operates with this high level of respect for people and for resources.
You would just save 20 seconds for somebody trying to figure out how to put that paper back.
Or worst case, put the wrong paper, send it to the customer make the phone call, I got the wrong instructions. We're talking hours by the time it's all done.
Just because Paul misplaced the paper.
Just because Paul didn't respect, the core issue was respect.
Okay. It's
The
important,
core
you
issue
guys,
was
respect.
a lack of respect for people and for resources. I wasn't respecting the worker. I wasn't respecting my customer. I wasn't respecting the resource of the diesel truck to ship the item all the way there and then have to reship it again. So lean thinkers have a deep respect for people, the time of my customer, the time of my worker, and for the resources that are required to make everything happen. So I'm going to stop, I'm going to pause, I'm going to make sure everything's back, and then I'm going to move on.
Once you implemented lean manufacturing, how much did your inventory cost decrease? How much did your profit margin increase?
Okay.
Loaded question.
So I'm not going to be able to figure out and calculate all the numbers of what you just asked me, but I'm going to tell your listeners and you numbers that will do nothing but astound you. Okay?
All right.
So number one, the first thing with lean is if you do it for money, you're going to completely blow the thing out. It has nothing to do with money. It has to do with improving the quality of people's lives. You're process oriented, so work is easier, more enjoyable, so you can deliver more value to your customer, greater quality to your customer. Nothing to do with profit. If you make it about profit, you lose. Guaranteed 100% you will lose. So that's number one.
Let me just repeat that. If you make it about profit, you lose. Think about that for a second.
100% you'll lose. It will never work. It never has worked. I've never seen it work once. Yeah, this is another really cool thing. So all the products are made down there at the end, at the machines down there at the end. And then this is the inventory, and people just walk into these cells and package it just in time and then ship it. And so if they're out of something, they're communicating with the operator right there at the end of the aisle. And then the fast caps are all over here in these bays. So these are all the different fast caps. We make every size, shape you could possibly imagine. And again, the operators are all there at the end making it, and you're in direct communication with it. So it's really, really nice.
You got screws in the cabinet to cover?
Yeah,
This is
all
what you
this
use.
is wood. This is like a birch or a maple right here, a white maple. And you know, notice everything we make, even the countertops, everything's made out of particle board, just painted. And everything's customized. We made these bins, these cardboard bins are called our Kaizen bins. We developed them, designed them, so they're flexible and we can move the partitions anywhere we want.
I see that.
So again,
wow.
when I say we make everything, baby, we make everything. We don't. If we were to buy things off the shelf, it wouldn't be detailed enough or specific enough for our processes. So we just find ourselves making everything, whether it be the workbenches, the way we store our products, the way we manage our work cells, everything. We just make everything.
Amazing.
When I went into business, I had a problem in front of me. It was to cover a screw hole. I wanted to make my work easier. So I made a fast cap, and it made my work easier. It was to lighten the load of my work. And then when I presented it to my customers, my goal was to solve a problem for my customers. And if I effectively solved the problem of my customers, they exchanged their hard work and time with dollars. If I just said to my customers, I want your money, do you think they would come to me?
I doubt it.
No, but if I said, I have something that can solve your problems, I have something that can make your life better, make your work more enjoyable, make your work higher, raise the quality of your work, would they come to me? Money's never even been talked about.
Mm-hmm.
So you first go into business for the purpose of serving or providing something to a customer. And when you do that at a high level, they give you their time and money in exchange for it.
You'll never have a problem of profit at that point.
It's impossible. It's against the laws of nature. If you're adding value, you're giving something to someone that they need, they're more than happy to exchange your money for a nice cup of coffee, right? But if they gave you a crappy cup of coffee, would you give them the money?
I'd hesitate.
But if I said, I just want money, I want to open up a coffee shop and I want money, are you going to give it to Woods Coffee? No, they're providing something of value, and it's the value that you're in business for.
Yeah.
To deliver that quality product, that service, and the profit is a byproduct.
Have you guys heard of lean manufacturing? We'd love to hear your comments. Comment below. Once you've seen this episode, come back and tell us how you've implemented lean manufacturing in your business, in your life. We'd love to hear it, you guys, so that we can share that with others. You guys, we've had so much awesome content with Paul Akers that we want to make this part 2. So stay tuned.
We're in 40 countries, tens of millions of dollars worth of business all over the world, 3,000 or 4,000 distributors worldwide. And the entire brainchild, the entire brain of the company is in this little office with only 6 people. We've been in business for 21 years. You know how many price increases we've had in 21 years?
How many? 3. In how many years?
21 years.
Can you really change a business 2 seconds a day?
So a lean thinker understands that all these processes that we do every day are just terrible processes. And they're not satisfied, and they say, how can I just shave a couple seconds? Well, if you're shaving a couple seconds off of 50 or 60 processes a day, you got one hell of a company going on.
Right.
And that's what we got going on here. Millions of improvements being made nonstop.
Fast Cap Part 2. We've had so much amazing content with Paul Akers that we want to continue sharing some of the principles, ideas, theories that will change your life, will change your business. It'll blow your mind away. Can you really change a business 2 seconds a day?
Well, if you're shaving a couple seconds off of 50 or 60 processes a day, you got one hell of a company going on.
Right.
And that's what we got going on here. If the leader thinks it's all about him and he's always got to come up with the great ideas, that's going to kill everything for sure. And when we make it about that team environment, that's when you really win. The minute you say no, it's as lean, then you've lost. You've lost the lean game. If you come up with a better way, I want to know about it and we're going to implement it.
So never stop looking for lean
improvements. Never. And never resist somebody who wants to make an improvement. And more importantly, you better learn lean quick, because if you don't, the Chinese are going to eat you alive and spit you out and you won't even know it hit you. That awareness of what the competition is and how that competition is potentially going to affect us is very important. And I think that is something that makes us stronger here. We've been in business for 21 years. You know how many price increases we've had in 21 years?
How many? 3.
We're a huge company doing tens of millions of dollars in 40 countries. This company's rocking it, man. So I think another really interesting thing is you look at a company that, again, we're in 40 countries, tens of millions of dollars worth of business all over the world, 3,000 or 4,000 distributors worldwide. And the entire brainchild, the entire brain of the company is in this little office with only 6 people. 6 people manage this entire company. It's hard to even get your head around that. There's no marketing department, no sales department, no HR department, no maintenance department. There's nothing. And we have just a very few people managing the complexity of this company. And I mean, making 600-700 products.
Wow.
What is the most common thing that most companies do every year? They give a price increase, right? The cost of fuel's going up, cost of plastic's going up, cost of natural gas is going up, everything's going up, taxes are going up, everything. We've been in business for 21 years. You know how many price increases we've had in 21 years?
How many? 3. In how many years?
21 years.
That's one increase per 7 years.
That's unbelievable. I've never heard of any company ever doing that.
That's amazing.
Because costs keep going down because we're more efficient. So how loyal are our customers to us?
I would say super loyal.
Like incredible. Could you imagine going to Woods Coffee and the price never going up? You're still paying the price of a cup of coffee 7 years ago? You just go, this company's rocking it, man. So, and because of that, we have no marketing department, we have no sales department, we have no HR department, we have no financial department. We're a huge company doing tens of millions of dollars in 40 countries. We should have all that level of bureaucracy and overhead. But we look at all that, we say that's all waste. Wow. Why do we need all that? So we've eliminated all that nonsense.
What are the common pitfalls that a company, a person experiences in implementing lean manufacturing, whether in business or in life? Name 2 or 3.
The biggest one that comes to mind immediately is ego. You know, if the leader thinks it's all about him and he's always got to come up with the great ideas, that's going to kill everything for sure. If you focus on money, it's going to kill it. If you focus on always getting the accolade for yourself, you're going to kill it. Now, the smart leaders don't make it about money. They make it about improving the quality of their people's work. The smart leaders, every time their people come up with a great new idea, they're always saying, that's amazing. I never thought about that. That's cool. And then immediately the people think, well, I've got a cool boss. I mean, he actually is recognizing me. He actually feels that I have value. Mm-hmm. So ego is a big deal. And if you can check your ego and you create a culture where everyone checks your ego, where nobody's making it about whether or not it's their idea, they make it about whether or not it's a good idea and will benefit the customer and the organization. And when we make it about that team environment, that's when you really win.
Paul, tell us about how long it took you to change the culture of FastCap to a fun, lean culture. I mean, what were the biggest hurdles? Mm-hmm. And then what were the greatest benefits that you've experienced?
Well, it took about a year. The first year was very painful because we didn't know what we were doing and we were just kind of wandering in the woods. But after a year, we started to see things were really starting to go well and people started to be very engaged in what we were trying to accomplish because they knew we were serious about it, because it wasn't the flavor of the month. We didn't do it for 1 or 2 months and then kind of give up and go back to our old ways. But we absolutely persisted, and then they realized we're serious and this was not the flavor of the month. So after 1 year, we started to see the benefits. And the benefits were engagement of our people. Our people were solving the problems that were habitually haunting us prior to that. So, you know, you have problems in an organization and that 1 year it's the same as the next year, nothing really changes. So those habitual problems started to go away. And the problems we started encountering were different problems, but they weren't nearly as consequential because we were solving problems instead of ignoring them or pushing them or sweeping them under the carpet. So our problems came to the surface, we solved them, and that made work a lot more enjoyable. And obviously it's going to be more fun and people are going to be happier.
Tell us what it's like to work at FastCap.
It's fun.
Can you elaborate a little bit?
Yes, it's fun because every day is different and you always get to do something different that involves using your brain. So most companies, you come into work and your first week's kind of exciting because you're learning all the new stuff to go with the new company. And then after that, every week gets progressively duller and duller and your brain kind of checks, right?
Checks out, yeah.
Here, every day when you come in, you're asked to use your brain and not just do what you were told, but think of how to do it better. And when you think of how to do it better, you actually get to go implement that. And you might learn something new too when you're doing it, how to build something, how to run a machine, use a tool, etc. And so every day when you're doing things, it's not just do what you were told. It's think.
Right.
That makes it fun.
So I think that most people don't realize how important it is to develop their people, because really the asset of the company is the people. We think it's the money in the bank and everything like that, but when people are thinking, they're driving costs down and quality up. And this makes a huge difference in the way an organization works and how effective it is. But even more important than that is when an individual goes outside of work because of this notion of growing people, and it changes the way they work outside of work. And that's really important. So like take Lyle, for instance. Lyle.
Yeah.
So how has what you've learned at FastCap affected what you do outside of FastCap?
Yeah, so the stuff that affects me at FastCap is thinking of processes, how I'm doing things. I'm always thinking of how I'm training people, interacting with people.
Mm-hmm.
And so when going outside of work, it affects my interactions with people of how am I efficiently having a conversation with somebody, or am I directing them in the right way? So as a youth group leader, I'm thinking, are all my papers in a row? Do I have everything in order for my kids? Am I wasting their time? Am I actually having processes in my preparation for things so that I'm set up for success, so that I can ultimately help my kids grow?
So to me, it sounds like you have a higher respect for people.
Mm-hmm.
And a higher respect for the resources that have been granted you, and you don't just take those lightly. You're thinking about that.
Well, it starts with the principle of when you're responsible for more things, you get responsible for more people.
And more things and more people.
Things and more people. So
Right.
if you start with the more things that you have in your handle,
Right.
it affects your relationships with the people.
This is the cutter that we use here in Cruising Cap. So we originally were using this machine to print and cut all of our custom Cruising Cap orders. Well, we realized that it was taking a lot of time to do so. So we added this new machine. So now all we have to do is print on this machine, take the rest of the printed material, add it to this machine, load it up, send it over, and it cuts beautifully. And we just broke this record. We have a 500 sheet order that would take us about 2 weeks, and we can get it done in about 3 days.
Can you really change a business 2 seconds a day? And how? Give us a real world example.
Let's take, for instance, let's take a 60-second process, making a cup of coffee, okay? And if every day you say to the barista, you say, all I want you to do is not save 2 seconds, save a half a second or a tenth of a second. And every day they come in and they evaluate where the cups are, where the lids are, how much water they use to rinse something out, and how many steps they take. And every day they just take maybe a second out of every process. At the end of 60 days, there's not much left, right? You're doing the whole process much more quickly. So, and then that's only one process. So a lean thinker understands that all these processes that we do every day are just terrible processes. And they're not satisfied, and they say, how can I just shave a couple seconds? Well, if you're shaving a couple seconds off of 50 or 60 processes a day, you got one hell of a company going on.
Right.
And that's what we got going on here. Millions of improvements being made nonstop.
My favorite improvement is this roller system that we added to our shipping table. We used to struggle a lot because it would smack in and not go anywhere. So we added those little rollers. So when I'm done shipping my box, I can just give it a push and it'll hit it and it'll just roll on down the belt.
Bye-bye. And the big one, push the little ones.
This is our Kanban cards. This is here in the graphics section where we print all of our labels. So when we come up to our printing station, we used to have to type in. So here's our Kanban for this. So I'd type out Kanban. Oh, well, look at that. There's several jobs that have Kanban in it. So we decided to do a barcode to make it so much easier that you didn't have to search. And there it is. That's the job that I'd have to print. We went a little bit further, so you didn't have to write in all these little labels or information. We made a printed version, so we just have to type it in and print it, and it's ready to go.
If you guys watch this episode and you don't implement one thing, watch it again. It'll change your life. It'll change your business.
Yeah,
Paul's a living example of that.
And it's so much fun. That's the thing that most people, it's like, who wouldn't want to run an organization like this, right?
Tell us how working for Paul has changed your life.
when I started at FastCap, I was very shy, very reserved, had really low self-esteem and confidence. And so after working here and having my own say and opinion valued, it gave me a lot more confidence to just vocalize my own views and opinions and feel like they were heard and I can make changes. And there's a lot of freedom here to make improvements and change things. So I've changed a lot in a lot of really great ways.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I guess the number one thing I would have Paul change is that and it's a good thing, so I don't know if I'd change it completely, but he's always trying to push what's the newest, best way to do something, right? And a lot of times that results in something where we're kind of stuck with 6 ways to do it and we don't actually have a standard. And it's all in aims of finding the best way to do it. But like when I communicate with Paul, I have to check WhatsApp, Voxer, text messages, and WeChat.
Okay.
I have to check them all 5 times a day because he can't decide which one's the best. Someday we'll decide and we'll have the very best one, but I think we create a lot of confusion trying to get there.
That's awesome, because this is a perfect example of figuring out how to avoid waste and be lean. So thank you.
Yeah.
Cool.
Let me tell you what the real issue is. The real issue is he loves email like most people, and I'm kind of prying him out of the whole email thing. A customer's not paying, they don't want to pay for an executive salary. They don't want to pay me to sit at my desk. They want to pay for Skylar to make injection molded parts that they can put in the tools that he's making. That's what the value is. Skylar's adding value. I'm not adding value. So I realized that the real value was on the shop floor. And so I should spend all my time on the shop floor helping my people do their work more effectively and solving problems with them. That's not typical leadership. Leadership is get a nice big desk, get a nice office, get a window so people
do not disturb sign.
So you do not disturb sign. You're talking on the phone, sit in a nice leather chair, all the BS, right? Well, I don't have any of that. You didn't see any of that. I'm always, when you walked in the door today, where was I?
You were with your employees.
I was with my employees on the shop floor, right?
You were engaging.
And you had to come get me away from them to do the interview, right?
And the only office I saw was your car.
Yeah, I know. So that's the whole point. So leaders don't realize what leadership really looks like, and it happens on the Gemba and on the shop floor.
A couple more questions as far as how lean manufacturing could translate to a lean personal life. Tell us about that.
Everything's a process. How you take care of your home, how you take care of your health, how you take care of your car, how you take care of your finances. Everything is subjected to being analyzed and saying, could there be a process improvement in the way I do that? So the most obvious one for me is I wrote a book called Lean Health, and I was 243 pounds, and today I'm 175. And that's a big, pretty dramatic shift. And basically what I did is I looked at the way I was nourishing myself every day, and I identified the value and the non-value. So it was of no value for me to be any processed foods. Every time I opened up a package and it had more than 2 ingredients on the back, it was probably not good quality. So that was a bad process. So I said, I'm going to quit opening packages, and I'm going to start eating fruits and vegetables and real food and fish and not open packages. I quit drinking bad drinks and all the other stuff, right? No sodas, any of the other stuff. And lo and behold, every week I kept losing 1 pound, 1 pound, 1 pound, and I made this dramatic decrease to where I'm 59 years old and I did 2 Ironman, which is unheard of.
That's incredible.
Yeah, which is unheard of.
I think most of us are looking forward to getting personal a little bit and get to know you on that end. Are you still climbing 14ers?
Well, I haven't climbed one in a couple years, but I did Mount Kilimanjaro, which is 19,000, and Everest Base Camp 17,700, and I just haven't had time to do that. But I'm skiing like crazy, so I go up and down 12,000-foot mountains 10 times in a day in a ski run, and do all that stuff. But no, I haven't done any 14s lately.
You're staying pretty busy.
But I'm not afraid to do them. That would be easy for me.
I think you've done a lot more than to be scared by a 14,000 foot mountain. Tell us about some of the lean philosophy that you've implemented in trekking and summiting some of these mountains.
Well, less is more. So travel light. and be very grateful. So number one is I don't want to take a lot of stuff with me, you know, and most people try to take so much stuff with them. They have enough gear for every possible eventuality, every possible problem, and I don't think that way. I think less is more. So I try to lean out equipment-wise when I travel. I travel all over the world. I only take one suitcase and a backpack. It doesn't matter where I go, that's what I take. If I'm going skiing, I take one suitcase and a backpack. I just reduce everything down to the very minimum.
Carry on or check in?
Oh, always carry on. Check in. That would be insane because that's just waste. I'm sitting there waiting 20 minutes for the luggage to come out. But most people don't understand that, and I want to have control of my suitcase because if it gets lost, then I'm really screwed, right? So no, always carry on.
That's the challenge I have, Paul. Every time we travel, I try to convince my wife how we can do a carry-on rather than check in.
Well, you know, I used to have all the gear. I used to have all the gear too, and now I do all my filming, everything on my phone. I used to take drones with me. I used to take Sony cameras. I used to take everything. I do everything right here. It's just so lean. You know, I got one charging cable and this, and I'm set.
Out of all your outdoor interests, what's one that you absolutely can't live without?
Well, I love to ski a lot because I love the athleticism involved in it. But I also love to ride motorcycles and see a country on the back of a motorcycle because there's something about experiencing the wind in your face and not having a windshield in front of you. So I did 15 countries last year on a motorcycle: Lithuania, Latvia, Sweden, Norway, Finland, Croatia, Bosnia, Thailand, Japan. I could just go on and on. So every time I go into a country, I try to rent a motorcycle and just ride.
That's pretty cool.
That is an amazing experience.
Does that somehow contribute back to your business? And I mean, it must have.
Well, certainly it doesn't help. It doesn't hurt to have an aware CEO. It doesn't hurt to have a CEO that has seen and experienced what's going on all over the world. I mean, that's got to be some benefit to have that global perspective on the world.
Yeah, that's another point you mentioned. CEOs can either sit in the office, or they can travel the world.
And
bring all that back.
You know, I've been in plants in Guatemala. I've been in plants in Australia. I've been in plants in Thailand. I've been in plants in Bhutan. I've been in manufacturing plants everywhere, all over the world, in Kazakhstan. So that awareness of what the competition is. Mm-hmm. And how that competition is potentially going to affect us is very important. And I think that is something that makes us stronger here.
All right, so for this best fence part, it has 4 nuts that go in here, and it can be kind of cumbersome to have to sit there and press them all in. So came up with this thing. You just take these nuts right here, and they sit in that little pocket, and then you put 2 up on top as well. And you put this piece in, and it does all 4.
So, Paul, you've traveled all over the world.
105 countries.
105. What's one place that you traveled to that made the biggest impact in your life? That might be a tough question. 105 is a lot of locations.
Well, without unequivocally, China. Unequivocally, I've been there 50 times. So it's the #1 place that people need to be aware of what's going on. So the Chinese are incredibly intelligent, and they have a work ethic like none other. And they're making us look like we don't know what we're doing in the United States. They've surpassed us, it seems like, in almost every regard. Their manufacturing prowess is over the top. They've created more high-speed trains than the entire world put together just in the last 10 years. They've interconnected over 50 major cities by high-speed trains that go over 250 miles an hour. They can build a high-rise in a year without something that would take us 10 years. Their freeway systems, their infrastructure systems, everything they do is at such a high level, it's almost hard to even get your head around.
Yeah.
And so the reason why that's impacted me is I realized that if Americans don't recognize the competition that's really out there, it's over. And we haven't got much time.
We got to wake up.
We got to wake up quick.
If you guys want to improve the bottom line of your business and learn something great, go to China.
Yeah. And more importantly, you better learn lean quick, because if you don't, the Chinese are going to eat you alive and spit you out and you won't even know it hit you. So you take, for instance, these are our picking carts. We make it all. This is all our product. This is called Fast Pipe. We make everything. So just simple carts made out of pipe that are flexible. If we decide we don't want it, we take it apart, we use the fittings, we use the pipes. We didn't go to Rubbermaid and buy carts. We made it all, right? And we made this in our wood shop. We made the little boards in our wood shop. Everything is customized to the needs of our work. Everything is a part of a process and how we improve it. So here's a great big company called Milwaukee. They make this fantastic vacuum cleaner, right? But we made the stand because we had to be efficient. We had to be able to walk into it, right? We make the holder there. So look how cool this is. When you want to run the backpack, you just go like this, boom, and you're done, and you're working, and you're vacuuming, right? But no, Milwaukee doesn't have a stand like that. So what do you got to do? Struggle? You got to struggle with it. But we're saying, why wouldn't we struggle? So we made this really cool vacuum stand. And now people are buying this and going, wow, look at that cool. The charger, everything's set up, everything's a process. So you need a new battery, boom, it goes in. Everything's set.
I'm just trying to think of how to make this more lean.
Well, I'm sure there is a way.
Because it's wasting, what is it? Well, probably 60 seconds, 30 seconds to replace the battery.
Yeah, I'm sure there is a way.
I'm sure there is.
And you can't be resistant to that, because the minute you say no, it's as lean, then you've lost. You've lost the lean game. If you come up with a better way, I want to know about it, and we're going to implement it.
So never stop looking for lean
improvements. Never. And never resist somebody who wants to make an improvement. That's an important thing. The leader's job is to do everything they can to facilitate the concept of continuous improvement. And the best way to kill it is to say, oh, we already tried that, it won't work.
It's as good as it gets.
No, we say, run the experiment, try it, let's see what happens.
I've learned a lot.
Okay, Paul.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you.
We really appreciate you.
Absolutely.
Do you guys like what you hear? Comment below about how this theory of lean manufacturing can change your life, change your business. We want to hear from you. Subscribe, hit that bell so that you don't miss any videos from Upflip. Thanks for watching. Voila! Paul, here we go.